we should be at 8% of our total expenditures. We are not, and it does state that we should be there within 2 years if you are not. We do need to build a fund balance. That does impact our bond ratings. It would impact future debt, should we decide to go for.
That also cannot be used to balance the budget. It's fund balance, we're at about $5 million, about that. We should be up around 8. So we have to build, get to that, so that years down the road, when we do have to go out and look to do something long-term with a major bond, that we're in a position to be able to do it. Lastly, we didn't put this in the slide, but good news on the horizon, our debt as a district will be paid off in 10 years. And you might think that 10 years is a long time, but there's many districts who are looking at 20 and 30 years of debt. This district, prior to the financial issues, was pretty fiscally prudent in terms of its debt. We did refinance debt as a part of our strategy back when we needed to, but we will be debt-free in 2025 or 26. Which is a pretty good position to be in. So, yes, it's a little ways away, but not too far away that it's not something we can hang our hat on at least.
Mr. Hall, a question for you. You said we cannot use fund balance, or you don't recommend that we use fund balance?
Don't
Because I think
recommend
we can use it.
Don't recommend it.
Okay.
According to
agree
board
with you.
policy,
Yeah.
we'd have to revise the board policy. Moving on. You want to take this?
Yeah, we talked about this, and I wrote a piece, an op-ed piece that I kicked down to the Erie Times today. Hopefully this will come out in the newspaper in the next week or two. And I said to the board a couple weeks ago, we can't keep cutting our way to a balanced budget. We have to balance careful cuts with consistent tax increases, because we're wealthy. That's how we're supposed to do it here in Mill Creek. This is what we've done the last 3 years. 2 administrative positions with the 2 buildings, 23 positions, central office, DOIS and maintenance staff, ed assistants and secretaries, coaching positions, technology integrators and coaches. It's eliminate, eliminate, eliminate. Programmatically, we've cut back our middle school instructional support advisors, our middle school reading specialists, librarians, the driver's ed program, cut back on field trips, our high school Mandarin program, supplies, and technology have all been hit. Yeah.
Mr. Hall, you made the statement that we're wealthy as a district. Can you clarify that? I mean, why are we determined to be wealthy?
2 things primarily that the state looks at to determine how you should support your educational programs. It's your market value of the homes in the area, the personal incomes of the people who work in the district. Those 2 things primarily, with some other things that he knows more about than I do, comes up with a formula. Then the state takes that and puts it all together and comes back and says, okay, District A, you have this aid ratio, and it's a number they look at. And that's what determines whether or not you have enough income and money in your district to be able to raise that revenue for tax increases, or if in the case of other districts, you have to rely on the state for that. And as you can tell, if you've been reading the paper, there's a lot of districts around who are running out of money because they are not wealthy, so to speak, and are not able to raise the revenue. They're relying on the state without a budget. They're looking at maybe closing a couple doors or doing some significant cutbacks here at the end of the year. We fortunately are not in that position. We're not going to have an issue closing the school year. We might have to go out and look at some kind of loan or a line of credit maybe in June to make payroll to get us through the year. But we've made enough changes down in the business office with some things. We have enough cash on hand, and as a district, we're in a solid financial place as far as that goes, and we're not going to have to do that.
I have a question. On the last screen, the positions that were cut, food service isn't included in there.
Correct.
And we had a big cut in doing away with us employing food service. There's a lot of new faces, that's why I bring this up. And we farmed it out to Aramark.
Correct.
So the food service that was taken off of our rolls are now put on Aramark's. So how many employees were there, roughly?
50 or 60.
50 to 60.
Cut it in half cut full-time people back to half-time, got them off the benefits, got them off of our payroll, so we're not paying.
I think it was a total of 90 or 82 prior to the move, and we maintained 17 of them. So you're looking at, what is that, 50?
17 full-time.
17 full-time, so about 57.
Okay.
And those are not included anywhere in this.
Correct.
So this is like, you said,
This is general fund.
okay, this is
our
like
budget.
85 positions that were, right, 85? Was that the number?
82.
82 positions that were eliminated, and then you add the elimination of the food service. So in the last 2 years, there's been a lot of people who have lost their jobs in this district.
And that doesn't count child development, which was equally hit hard.
I know.
But remember, we have three funds. We have the general fund, that's the education, the general things you think about in the district, and then we have food service is a separate fund, child development is a separate fund. They operate off of their own fund, so to speak. So that's why you're not seeing that up there.
All right, I have another one on fund balance. You said April, if we don't get the money from the state, we're going to be
This should
trending
be
on
our-
being able to pay our bills?
I was gonna provide an update next, a week from today, but we should be all right to clear the year.
Okay.
But basically, at the end of the day, with the state budget, what they are doing is half of the basic ed subsidy, which does impact us quite a bit, they released, and we received already. Outside of PlanCon, which is about a $650,000 impact to us, they're releasing all their funds for what would have any type of impact to us. Your PISA reimbursement, your Social Security reimbursement, special ed reimbursement. So as we currently sit today, they are releasing those funds.
Okay.
And we should be able to get through the end of the year. However, it's the state,
All right, so a hypothetical question. If in April, we were in trouble and not able to make our payroll, would we resort to that fund balance?
well, we're gonna need to resort to the fund balance in order to get through the end of the year. I mean, should you not want to do that, we would have to take out either
Another
a
loan.
tax anticipation note or a line of credit, for which there's another issue with.
Well, we did that at the IU back in November to pay our bills. And we had the loan origination fee and then tremendous amounts of interest on it for a short-term, note. And I bring this up because somebody said that this $5 million is really not necessary, and it really is, because if you're backed into a wall and you don't have money, you have to resort to your savings, and that's responsible accounting is what my answer was. So just to let everyone know.
Or we have to go out to a loan and we're not sitting very favorably
Right.
because of what's happened. Now, we're getting better, and our Standards and Poor's reports are getting better because they're recognizing improvement, but that could be an issue too.
Thank you.
Aaron, on your pie chart that you had back, you had the other 1%. What types of things are in those other benefits?
Protective supplies,
No, you have I thought it was 1%.
this one, oh, right here,
Yeah,
other benefits.
what types of things would be included in that?
Your life insurance, your ADD, that's about it, I'd say.
Yeah, things that were obligated though.
Oh, vision,
Yep.
dental,
Right.
right,
Yep.
those primarily wrap that up.
Mr. O'Toole, I have a question. Going back to all the cuts that were made, I believe I mentioned it,
We have that covered.
you have
Yes.
a dollars.
Yep.
Right.
You want to go to
Thank
that,
you.
Tom? Here you go. Mr. Aliotta had asked the last meeting about those cuts that we referenced and how much money was saved. This was taken from a slide that was presented publicly when we finished our budget back in 13-14 as a part of our budget presentation. Closing of Richfield and Vernondale, the total was 1.9, about 1.9. How do we arrive at that? We had 23 classrooms that we right-sized down to 10. Remember, we redrew boundaries. We had certain class enrollments that were light. So when we redid the boundaries and right-sized classrooms, we were able to not fill 13 positions, teaching positions. Okay, we've talked about that forever. We saved about 12 or 13 teaching positions with that closing. That's how we did it, not with $1.1 million for that. There was other support savings, ed assistants, secretaries, so forth that were in the building that were no longer there. There was administrative savings and 2 principals who were no longer there. And then other operational savings, I'm going to assume, were